I want to cover a clip of Republican Senator Tim Scott embarrassing himself, going along with this really embarrassing talking point that Trump has been deploying about Tim Scott, and that is that Tim Scott is better for Donald Trump than he is for Tim Scott. Yes, the most Trumpian thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Everyone in Trump's mind is better for him than they are for themselves. And I will play Tim Scott's reaction. But first, let me remind you of this Trump talking point.
I have to say, this is in a very positive way, Tim Scott. He has been much better for me than he was for himself. I watched his campaign and he...
Right. And then Tim Scott very thoughtfully explains why, yeah, that's absolutely true. I'm better for Trump than I am for myself. Oof.
Two more guys.
Senator Trump has said that you campaign better for him than you do for yourself. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think that the whole concept of James 4:10, which I struggled with on the campaign trail, my campaign, we've had lots of conversations publicly and privately about the importance of how do you exalt yourself and promote yourself while remaining humble. I've struggled with that on the campaign trail. Now, having a conversation about the future of America and President Trump being that leader is very easy. There's no internal conversation about when are you doing too much self-promotion. So the truth of the matter is that I'm far better encouraging and being excited and motivated for President Trump than I was for myself, because I don't have that internal debate going on.
Senator,
have some respect for yourself, Tim. Oh my goodness. First of all, don't be citing the Bible for why you're for Trump. Okay, I'm so sick of that. Trump violates every single thing that you would say. So you care about that verse explaining yourself to be humble. Okay, good. But then do you think Trump abides by that verse? But we'll set that aside. That's a longer conversation about the bizarre association with Christianity and Trumpism, which makes no sense. But Tim, don't, please. I have never been a fan of Tim Scott, but I know some people who disagreed with his politics still found him to be respectable in some sense some time ago. Okay? There was this perception that, you can work with Tim Scott. He has some dignity or whatever. That's gone away, if it existed. And this is going to be his legacy. I want to make sure that we really focus in on that with these Republicans. Because right now it just seems like a politically advantageous move. Oh, I could be vice president. Yay. I'm going to campaign to be that for Trump. And he's doing a good job on that front. Trump seems to be considering him. But at what cost, Tim? Your family, your children, your grandchildren. You'll be remembered as the guy who surgically removed your spine and threw your dignity, integrity, and honor and everything into a garbage can, and then threw gasoline in the garbage can and then lit that on fire, and then explained to people while it was burning how you're better for Trump than you are for yourself. That's not what you want. There has to be something more in this life than taking a step up in your career. There has to be something that goes beyond that. Great, you want to be vice president. That's an awesome pursuit. Go for it. But something has to be more important than that. And that is, well, first of all, the country, the Constitution, our democracy, yeah. But also just as a human being. Don't you want to, when you eventually die, know that you had at least a shred of integrity? You had a shred of dignity and respect for yourself? But instead, Tim Scott, who would say he cares about the Constitution and our democracy, he's supporting the guy because it's politically advantageous and he's stuck in the Republican Party, so he has to do this if he wants to move forward in it, for the guy who has called for the termination of the Constitution, who tried to block the peaceful transfer of power in 2020 and 2021, who's openly advertising the fact that he wants to lock up his political opponents and target media outlets that he doesn't like. By the way, a bunch of what I'm explaining here, even the people who wear MAGA hats don't know about these things. It's really confusing. As I've mentioned, episode 1 of Deprogrammed with your host, me, is coming out on Sunday. And it's a show where I spend a day with Trump supporters, in this case, 2 Trump supporters, and see if with everything I can possibly throw at the wall, I can get them to throw away their MAGA hats and denounce their support for Trump. And a big part of the day was just spent informing these Trump supporters, again, because it was already filmed, coming out on Sunday, just informing them on things Trump has said and done. Not even spending a whole lot of time explaining why those things are wrong, just saying, do you know about this? And are you okay with standing by someone who, again, called for termination of the Constitution, or most importantly, his actions tried to block the peaceful transfer of power and was close to being successful through schemes like the fake elector scheme and him trying to get local officials to disenfranchise millions of voters and engage in fraud and all this crazy stuff. And so one of the things I've been explaining a lot on this show is step 1 in a lot of these conversations is to just inform people. But then with someone like Tim Scott, it really does come to my mind that there's not going to be any ambiguity on this moment when we look back on it. When we're analyzing history and looking at this moment in history, it's not going to be blurry gray area. Well, some people thought this, some people thought that. Unless MAGA wins and rewrites all the history books. But if they don't, then it's going to be, there was this anti-democratic movement, just like how we look at past historical events in a pretty clear black, white, right, wrong in a lot of cases. This will be one of those cases where there was an anti-democratic movement, an openly anti-democratic wannabe authoritarian leading it, denying facts on a number of important issues. And there were people who decided to stand by that. And that is disgusting. And that will be, if he's mentioned at all in history, Tim Scott's legacy. Here's one more moment from the same press conference.
Do you agree with Trump likening him having to pay his fine in the New York civil fraud trial to the killing of Alexei Navalny?
Yeah, I think the one thing we can get out of the judgment in New York is that every business person who fears for the future of their business because of the absolute oppressive nature of the courts in New York, they are now considering leaving the state. It is.
So when all the businesses don't leave New York, will they correct this? No. But I will say that's him ignoring and just saying a practice talking point. Ignoring the question, which was, are you okay with Trump saying he's experiencing what Navalny experienced? Navalny dead right now. Likely at the hands of Vladimir Putin for opposing him. That's what you're saying is comparable, is equivalent, or is a Navalny-like thing, I think is how Trump said it. That sort of language happening to Trump. That's what they believe. And Tim Scott won't say that's inappropriate. That's horrible. Again, have some integrity. My goodness. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you have any integrity, you would subscribe to this channel, dang it. And you can become a member if you have even more integrity at lukebeasleyshow.com/membership.